To atheists and committed Darwinists who pathetically hail Kenny Miller's rants and barf in Dover as anything special or as proof of anything significant as to their circular paradigms and positions, you and your fellow drones always miss the point that it's not so much the number of chromosomes and other superficial issues, but what's deeper in the molecular level that's important. Chromosome fusion only proves chromosome fusion, not necessarily conclusively, quote, common ape-man ancestor. But committed and faithful Darwinists will desperately grasp at anything, however meager and superficial, while ignoring problematic data, all to preserve and protect their cherished paradigm. Humans have 46 chromosomes and chimps have 48. Where'd the other pair go if we came from a common ancestor? Check this. Dr. Miller gives this whodunit type story and scenario and asks where the missing chromosome pair went. He then points out the scientific evidence for a fusion event on human chromosome 2. There is evidence that implies a fusion event may have occurred. Human chromosome 2 corresponds to ape chromosomes 12 and 13. Dr. Miller states, our chromosome number 2 was formed by the fusion of 2 primate chromosomes. Dr. Miller assumes common ancestry, and the number of chromosomes is consistent with his belief. However, he misses other important evidence that contradicts his basic claim and basic assumption. Humans are clearly distinct from other animals in cognitive and language ability. The average human is still way smarter than the most intelligent chimp. Understand that fact. That's not an opinion, it's just simply a fact. Observable, testable, falsifiable, verifiable, and also commonsensical. Okay, occasionally the ability of chimps to use tools or simple sign language is touted desperately as evidence for their supposed close relationship with us in the sense of common ancestry. You know, theists or biblical creationists don't deny that there's a commonality in that humans and chimps and humans and animals in general share a common earth, common air, common water, and the elements of the ground below. And also, of course, most importantly, a common creator. So logically, there are bound to be similarities. And it's no small wonder that lower animals would have a certain amount of intelligence. It wouldn't speak well of the creator if, say, dogs or cats or raccoons were always bumping into things and had no intelligence whatsoever. How would that speak well of an intelligent designer? It wouldn't. So that is basically a straw man. Obviously, there's intelligence in the lower animals. And chimps seem to be the smartest of the lower animals, so naturally they would have some abilities. But the chasm and the gap is still horrendously huge between humans and chimps. Because in reality, chimps are not significantly different in these areas that Darwinists tout up from many other mammals and birds, except that chimps can use their hands a bit more like us. Chimps lack the anatomy for human speech. Why? Why, Kenny? If they have the same basic genome and are 98% human, which there's evidence to show that that's actually an exaggeration. It's more like between 80 and 90%. But, you know, that's just referring to genes, you may say, not necessarily anatomy. Okay. Yeah, why wouldn't one follow the other logically? Probably, right? If the claim is that they are our close relatives and share a common ape-man ancestor. A few birds have been known to use human language quite well, at least for an animal, lower animal. Simple tool-making ability is also seen in a variety of animals. While intelligence in animals is quite fascinating, it is still significantly different from that of humans and gives no real hint of solid proof of common ancestry. The similarities are much more easily explained by the fact that these animals all had a common designer, and of course using the common elements of a common earth. This designer, you know, who reused certain excellent design elements, much like engineers do in their creations today. But no chimp builds what humans can build. Where's the chimp wheel? Throughout all the centuries, no chimp has constructed, never mind a telephone, bicycle, or chair, but something as simple as a round wooden wheel. That was my point before about big chasm, big gulf, big gap, that desperate atheists and committed Darwinists love to downplay while they play up supposed chimp smarts, neurotically and for agendas. Kenny the Clown's enthusiasm about this chromosomal rearrangement may be tied to the older notion that such mutations are the basis for speciation. This belief was shown to be overly simplistic decades ago. There are problems with this explanation. First, this hypothesis only assumes that the chromosomal fusion took place after humans supposedly split from the apes in the proposed evolutionary tree and scenario. Allegedly, at some point in the past, a human ancestor's DNA underwent a genetic fusion between two of its chromosomes. This event occurred in no other species. Does this provide evidence that humans share a common ancestor with apes and chimps? No, this line of thinking provides no clear, conclusive empirical evidence, per se, that humans and apes share a common ancestor. It's only going by the original premise of circular assumptions. All that it really does is suggest that a past human may have undergone this genetic change. In order for this fusion event to demonstrate common ancestry with the chimpanzee, there would have to be some link, some real solid link between the fusion event and the great apes, but no such clear link exists. The fused-looking chromosome is specific to humans, so it does not directly connect with the great apes. Therefore, it cannot be empirical proof for a common link between, quote, Homo sapiens and the great apes. The only genetic, quote, link, which is no link at all, between humans and the apes is our close DNA sequence similarity. But this similarity is completely expected given the similar body structure, physiology, and biochemistry that we share with our primate friends. So that's a straw man. In reality, DNA sequence similarity is just as much evidence for common design as it is for Darwinian macroevolution theory. In actuality, neither viewpoint is proven by the matter of similarity, necessarily. Atheists have asked why God would purposely create a human chromosome that, quote, looks like the fusion of two chromosomes. But they overlook and never ask the question of why do humans and chimps, quote, look vastly different in many different and important ways. Again, playing up the supposed similarities, real or imagined, and neurotically minimizing the horrendous chasm and appalling differences, both mental abilities as well as physical and as well as the deep molecular genetic differences. The older notion that mutations are the basis for speciation. This belief was shown to be overly simplistic decades ago when papers appeared describing chromosomal variations which were not eliminated by selection. One intriguing example is a single species of rodent, Holoculus brasiliensis, where 26 different karyotypes were identified in the 42 individuals tested. Chromosomal rearrangements have been identified within many ruminant species. There are examples in both goats and sheep where individuals with one or more centric fusions are phenotypically indistinguishable from other animals. One researcher who studied sheep carrying up to 3 different centric fusions concluded, it is now considered that there is little or no evidence to suggest that centric fusions in a variety of combinations affect the total productive fitness of domestic sheep. Duh! So the bottom line is that centric fusions themselves do not inevitably result in a new species. It is conceivable that some apes exist with 46 chromosomes. Yet these animals will be distinctly apes. Lower. Even though Darwinist drone-tards believe that humans are a variety of apes, not all Darwinists necessarily have said that, but the chimps, the gorillas, and things like that. There's no evidence that because of this, that they will be evolving, or that they had a common ancestor with humans. They will not be evolving somehow to become human or human-like eventually. If the observed evidence is really from a fusion, it is best explained by the fusion of 2 human chromosomes. The human genome is very mysterious and much is unknown to make dogmatic statements, which Darwinists have a tendency to do because of their circular paradigms again. The The biggest problem with Dr. Miller's story is that it distracts the audience from the real issue. It is not the number of chromosomes that is really a significant difference between humans and apes, but the information contained on those chromosomes that tends to get kind of ignored or sidestepped. According to the evolutionary scenario, our ape-like ancestors underwent major anatomical restructuring to develop upright posture, speech ability, and an astounding increase in cognitive function, all by random chance processes, mutations, somehow neutral or even beneficial mutations, never mind the unworkable time problems for these types of things to happen, worked on by natural selection somehow. That's the neo-Darwinist dogma in religious faith today. Such profound changes were never observed in the history of science. This is just inferred and assumed, never actually proven empirically or observationally. They are inferred because Darwinian evolution theory has an atheistic basis and assumes there is no creator. There is no intelligent and direct designer, per se. That's the circular paradigm. Despite the superficial similarities between human and ape chromosomes, there are important differences on the molecular level that no atheist or Darwinist can reasonably explain, though they try to dance around it with this chromosome fusion rant. And also, of course, with this ERV distraction that they've also come up with.